I always thought friendship meant being yourself. No filters, no apologies, no need to prove you're worthy. A space where you could say something silly and not be judged. Where silence still made you feel heard. Then came Ellie. We met at work, right when my life was collapsing. Divorce, mortgage, a move, and a slow-motion identity crisis. I was running on caffeine, stress, and sheer survival. The world felt sharp, cold, and hard to breathe in. And then Ellie showed up. Light, funny, smelling like orange peels and rain. She seemed to know exactly where it hurt and how to gently touch it. Lunch break coffees, memes during long meetings, late night calls when I wasn't sure whether to cry or scream. She'd swing by when I stayed late, bringing chocolate, bread, little treats as she called them. We'd sit on the floor of my barely unpacked kitchen, eating from plastic containers and building plans that would never happen. Portugal sounds amazing. Or Norway, she'd say. Just not back to our exes, I'd reply. And we'd laugh, loud enough for the neighbors to bang on the walls. I felt seen. Not as the newly divorced woman with a mortgage, but just me. And then the oddities began. Little things at first. My ex suddenly liked one of her photos. Fine, maybe a coincidence. Then he messaged her. She mentioned it casually. Oh, Alex wrote me. He asked about that project we all worked on. Funny, right? Funny? It stung. But I said nothing. Then came the coincidental meetups. Coffee shops, art exhibits, events we once planned to attend together. We just ran into each other, she'd say. Honestly, I walked in, he was there. Small city. I nearly laughed at the line, the delivery, the boldness. Coincidence? Totally. Don't be paranoid. I tried to stay calm. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe Ellie really was innocent. Maybe I was just raw from everything else. But the signs kept piling up. They discussed movies I adored, went to that museum I'd always wanted to visit. I learned about their projects through her stories, like some outsider eavesdropping on my old life. Slowly, I realized she wasn't just sharing my interests. She was living my life with my ex and without me. So I decided to check. No drama, no confrontation, just clarity. I knew they'd be at that cafe. I saw them right away, tucked into a booth. He leaned in. She laughed, touching his arm. There was intimacy, unmistakable, familiar, shared. I sat nearby, sipping coffee, watching. 10 minutes, 15. That's all I needed. Friendships don't always end in fights. Sometimes they just dissolve, quietly, when boundaries vanish. When you realize you're the empty chair no one sits in anymore. I stood, walked over, heart pounding, voice steady. Ellie, you forgot to mention this cafe was another coincidence? She turned and the kind of laugh that says, "Oops, you caught me," but plays it off anyway. Oh, hey, classic you, always so dramatic. I looked at her and didn't recognize who I used to call my friend. Ellie, who once brought me food and laughed at rom-coms with me, was gone. In her place was a woman who could hide betrayal behind charm. You could have told the truth, I said calmly. I would have understood. There's nothing to understand. You're blowing it out of proportion. Alex said nothing, just pushed his cup aside. All right then, I said. Message received. She shrugged. So, what now? Live my life, I replied, and smiled. Time passed, they got married, and one day, I ran into Ellie at the supermarket. We reached for the same apples. I pulled my hand back, so did she. A few seconds of silence, then a tired, honest smile. Hey, she said, didn't expect to see you, here among bruised pears and clearance rice. Life knows how to pick the perfect stage for a revenge scene, I said. She looked different. No makeup, worn out coat, tired eyes. None of the lightness she used to carry. He compares me to you all the time, she confessed. I raised an eyebrow. What does he say? That you're quieter, calmer, less reactive. Maybe because he was someone different with me, I said. People aren't always the same versions of themselves. She nodded, then with a bitter smirk. Sometimes I wonder if I ever wanted him or just your place in the story. I said nothing, just smiled, and walked away with apples that smelled like autumn. Friendship is a strange thing. Sometimes it doesn't end in betrayal, but in finally understanding that closeness isn't the same as needing to feel needed.